Hey everyone, I'm Courtney Ponce, your GSF Weekly host, and I am so excited to finally be able to meet all of you. We are going to be doing something a little bit different the rest of the season. The GSF crew is going to be making their predictions of the weekly matchups, specifically for the WCAL. I'd like to introduce everyone to you. I have Mr. Game of the Week himself, Justin Lum, executive producer Alf Joaquin, new talent Kaylee Krish, and GSF talent Edwin Wise. Justin, go ahead and take it away.
Thanks, Courtney. What's up, people? The Wild Wild WCL is no joke. Let's start with Sacred Heart Cathedral and Bellarmine. The Bells own the Fighting Irish in this series, and it hasn't been close. In the last 6 games, the Bell Boys have outscored the Fighting Irish 213-61. That's domination. SHC has to get it together on offense in order to have any chance. And on defense, giving up a $157 last week to Raymond Sanders from Reardon, Gouda Colley could rush over 250, and that will make it a long night for the Irish. Bellarmine keeps the streak going. Next, Midi at St. Ignatius. I think the keys to this game are Luke Allen and Derek Bowerly. The Wildcats defense allowed Lecky Nunn, the sophomore, a sophomore from Sarah, to rush for over 200 yards. So the Monarchs see a weakness they need to exploit. You know they're going to pound the rock. I pick Midi. This next matchup, I love the War Boys make the crusade to Reardon. Both teams coming off big wins. I want to see running back Kirk Johnson and linebacker Jamarian Caston go head to head at the line of scrimmage. 2 explosive players that will be depended on. And last week's MVP, Razor Ramon, sustained 34 carries. Let's see if he can carry the load against VC, whose defense has been hitting at all cylinders. In the end, the passing game led by Mike Machado and Colin Johnson is something the Crusaders don't have. And finally, Sarah takes on St. Francis. Both teams at the top of the WCAL right now. The defending CCS Open champions are undefeated at home thus far, but don't think the Lancers are scared after winning 41-34 last year. Hunter Bishop makes his second start at QB for the Padre Mafia, facing his old school. I believe if he uses the weapons around him well, his defense should take care of business. Padres stay unbeaten in league.
Alf, you've seen it all these past couple weeks. I want to know, what are your predictions?
Thanks, Courtney, but before I start, I gotta give a big shout out to the GSF crew. The work coming out of GSF right now is just second to none. The quality is just unmatched. So keep up the grind. I'm gonna make my picks. I think the biggest game in the WCAL is happening tonight. Sacred Heart Cathedral versus the Bellarmine Bells. I don't think Sacred Heart has ever beaten the Bells, but there's something special going on at SHC that I think Logan White and Jamar Williams-Shepard is going to come down to San Jose with the rest of the crew, roll up their sleeves, and they're going to fight. They're going to fight till the end. They're going to take down the Bellarmine Bells. Now, next game, SI versus Midi. Midi lost a heartbreaker against St. Francis last week, and I think they're going to take that as motivation and put on a show up in the city against SI. And I'm talking about the Dakari Primetime Monroe show. Watch out for Dakari scoring multiple touchdowns against SI. Another big game happening in the city, War Boys versus the Crusader Nation. This is interesting because I saw Reardon last week and I thought, my thinking is, they look really good, but they're really young. And I don't think they're gonna be able to handle Kirk O'Grimes and that nasty War Boys defense. So expect a close game in the first half, but I think in the second half is going to be a different story. I'm picking the War Boys. Now, the biggest game, the game that has a lot of meaning in the WCAL as far as this weekend is St. Francis versus Sarah. You got a quarterback that used to play for the Lancers. You got 2 coaches that used to coach for the Lancers. There's just too many personal things going on with this game. But in the end, I think the Sarah defense, the Padre Mafia, is just gonna take over. And the Lecky and Leppy show, that show is gonna keep going. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm picking Sarah all the way.
Alf, I really like where you're going, but Kaylee, I want to know, what are you thinking is going to happen this weekend?
Thanks, Court. Okay, let's start off with SF at Sarah. Now, this is going to be an interesting game because both of these teams are coming off wins, which means they have momentum. But last week, Sarah ended up missing 2 field goals for the extra point. This is going to be a really close game. You can't be missing field goals. Either way, I think that St. Francis is going to pull it off. Valley Christian at Reardon. Now, everybody knows the Warboys are on a mission this year, so I think that they're going to take it. Last year they beat Reardon, and I don't think that they're going to have a problem this year either. Midi at SI. Now, this one's an interesting one too, because both of these teams are 3-2. They both lost last week, and they really need to rebound. History says that this is Midi's game, but I think that SI can come out on top this week. I mean, they have a quarterback who's thrown for a touchdown in every single one of his games so far. I think they can do it again. Last, we have Sacred Heart takes on Bellman. Now, this one was a really tough decision for me. I think both of these teams are really, really good. It's going to be a really great matchup. But both of these teams were upset last week, and no one was expecting that. I'm going with the Fighting Irish, though. I really think that because they've been consistently losing to Bellman, I think that's going to be enough motivation to get that win. So I'm taking the Fighting Irish.
And finally, Edwin, tell me what you think is going to go down at all of these big matchups.
Thanks, Courtney. Let me start off with SHC at Bellarmine. Jamar Williams Shepard, nearly 1,000 yards rushing, and he has got 12 touchdowns. However, he was shut down by Reardon and only had 32 yards. Bells, they had an embarrassing loss to VC, but they're coming back home, and I think in front of the home crowd, they'll be inspired, they'll play emotional on both sides of the ball. I see the Bells ringing the bell at the end of this one. Midi at SI. Midi, in the classic matchup last week with St. Francis, lost the nail-biter, but the emergence of Derek Bowerly, in addition to the big plays by Takari, Primetime Monroe, should lead Midi over SI. VC at Reardon. Reardon, they've shown up the last 2 weeks. They nearly stole one from St. Francis. They won the Stanfield Trophy from the Fighting Irish, but VC came off a statement win. They want to live up to the early season hype. Colin Johnson should have a big game in this one. Finally, I'm calling you out, Alf. Sarah, yes, they're big, they're strong, the defense is great. They're the most battle-tested team out of the WCAL so far this year. However, I see the Lancers in the upset alert. Lancers will put a hurt on the Pods, led by Devin Hurtado.
Well, you've heard everyone's predictions, but I want to know, do you think they're on track or are they completely out of their mind? Do me a favor and tweet us at our personal accounts and the GetSportsFocus one. But for now, we're going to have to see how it all goes down on the football field this weekend. I'm Courtney Ponce for GetSportsFocus, and I will see you next week.